the regular meeting of the city council to order. Mr. City Attorney, can you join us?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We've already had our pledge, so we're gonna go directly into the mayor and council member report on current events. Councilman Allen.
I went easy on you guys last month and did not give an update. I did it all for this month. So put your seatbelts on. I just wanted to say, first of all, that I was really excited. I want to celebrate the success of the PW Litchfield Heritage Center groundbreaking. That was really exciting. And it's also good to see the community coming out engaged. And I think this is an important milestone for the city, so I'm excited for that. I just wanted to share on the state of the city. I got a lot of positive feedback about the format and the content. So I wanted to recognize city staff for all the hard work that they put into that. I think it was really exciting to see it presented that way. And then I also wanted to thank some of the representatives from Goodyear and Wickenburg and our state legislator too, who came and showed their support. I think it's really important to acknowledge that our neighboring cities are engaging with us. And I think it highlights the importance of collaboration. And then I also wanted to share a couple more things. Over the past month, I recently attended a municipal budget planning training that was hosted by the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. And I thought that was really a great opportunity to learn more about budget planning. And one of the key takeaways was some discussions that I had with other smaller cities about proposed legislation that could eliminate or reduce certain revenue sources, which you discussed at our State of the City. And so hearing that from them as well as just kind of reiterates the fact that, you know, these changes could have an impact on cities like ours. And it's something that I think we should be monitoring. In my role at Westmark, I sit on the Westmark board and their executive committee as part of my role as city council member here. I definitely raised awareness of those legislations that, you know, could have the potential to impact us. And I asked them to be aware of those, given the potential impact across the West Valley. And then finally, Westmark has these breakfast sessions, which I try to attend. Their opportunities to network and talk about things that are going on in the West Valley. The most recent one they had focused on branding the West Valley. And during that event, I connected with a local news anchor and facilitated a conversation between the news anchor and our director of communications to kind of explore opportunities to highlight all the things that are going on in our community, specifically up at La Loma with the library, the high school, and the Heritage Center all kind of coming online at the same time. So to see if there are any opportunities to capitalize on those milestones. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier.
Just to echo Councilmember Allen's take on the state of the city, it was really well received, both from the people that attended and then the quality of the video. I know a lot of people that have watched it that didn't attend. The video was very informative. I think it was done in a way that was engaging. So, you know, we we're informing people as to what was going on in the city. I think people are excited about what's going on in the city. The visuals were fantastic. It's got 282 views on YouTube right now, which I think for a small city like us and for people who actually, you know, watching city council content, pretty good. So kudos to the city on that. On public grounds / the public works department, I know it's been a topic of conversation. It came up at the State of the City. I've noticed a significant improvement. And maybe I've only noticed it because we've been discussing it as a council, but I just want to recognize that department and the progress that's been made there because it is noticeable to me. I enjoyed the fun run. I'm not one to typically describe running as fun, but I had a good time.
Who won?
She did, but I had to carry my kid across the finish line.
Oh, that's true.
But it was good turnout. 728 participants. You know, that's about 10% of our total residents. That's it's pretty good for coming out on a Saturday morning across the various races. So thank you to the city for continuing to put events like that on.
Thank you.
Hi,
You have a report?
hi, Mr. Mayor.
This Councilman.
I'm sure that it's already been mentioned, but, state of the city and, the groundbreaking, both, really well done. So that's it.
Councilman Claire.
I'll echo the state of the city and the groundbreaking as well. Also, one of the other things I got to do was the Chamber of Commerce, the West Valley Regional Chamber of Commerce city to city meeting that Yosha represented our city at. And she did a great job kind of outlining what was there. But what was really exciting was to see all the energy and all the economic development that's happening around us. Then we have an opportunity to do something with that and to work as a network with all these other cities and see ourselves grow. So it's just the excitement of not just what's happening here in Litchfield, the entire West Valley is really a thriving state right now. That's it.
All right, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, State of the City was a great event, groundbreaking. I'm not going to repeat it, but I agree with what you guys said. The art festival that the staff did recently, we did a very nice job. I was very impressed with how it laid out the people, the crowds, and all the cars. And we have to keep thinking about the parking one of these days when we start selling off all the rest of that dirt. But it was a nice event. Yosha and I met with the other city representatives, with Senator Mark Kelly last week. My life is flying by. That was an interesting event. I want to thank you to RPG and all the volunteers who painted the trees with orange trees this weekend. They had a lot of volunteers. It was amazing the number of people that participated. And Terry, 24 years with the city. My goodness gracious, is she still on there somewhere? The only one I know that probably has that broken is the mayor, but we strung all of his years together, council before and mayor this time.
I don't know if I'm 24.
I'm at 22, so you got to be up in there somewhere. So that's all I've got. Thank you. I got one more thing to say, and I've talked to Matthew about this. I'm getting complaints in the villages with the blue staking that was done for the contractors over there. There are streets over there that look like somebody went through there with a graffiti and put just 100 marks in front of houses. Some of them are really, really bad. And Matthew's looking into some way that we can get that fixed. Those citizens have been told that blue staking and all that painting on the sidewalks and the asphalt will fade in about 2 years. And that's not acceptable. So we've got to find some way to get that resolved.
I will tag on with the state of the city. Got a lot of positive comments from residents that really enjoyed it, and people who watched it on a video, which is really shocking to me that people do that. I got a lot of comments that they enjoyed it. On a sad note, I want to let people know that one of our former city managers and a former councilman named Robert Musselwhite passed. It was unexpected, and his family seems pretty upset about it, obviously. But he was an important person in the history of Litchfield Park over, probably his last service to the city was probably 6 or 8 years ago, and yes, maybe 10 years ago. But so you keep Robert Musselwhite and his family in your thoughts would be good. Just a couple of highlights of things that go on that I think it's important just for the council to know what's happening, and also for the residents who are happen to be here. The city actually attends a weekly meeting with the Arizona League. I attend and Yosha attends. It's a virtual meeting. And we go through the bills that are pending at the legislature that may have an impact on Litchfield. From those meetings, sometimes the league will ask us to do things. Sometimes I will ask Yosha just on my own to do things. So it generates contacts from the city. We generate contacts to our legislators, and at times the legislators that are in other districts to either ask them to continue to support something or ask them to not support something. And this is legislation that could dramatically impact our the amount of cash that we receive as a city that we're gonna use to operate our city. Or it may impact our rights to do different things like, regulating these accessory buildings we talked about tonight. So there's a variety of legislation that is, that's going on down there at any time that can have a very negative impact. And once in a while, a positive impact. So we as a city, we spend time trying to get behind that. So we do that, that's every Monday. So if anybody wants to sign on, we'll get you the sign on link. You can get on and you can listen to them. There was also a grand opening called Milk and Honey Coffee. If any of you, if there's anyone here who's not been to Milk and Honey Coffee, I want to tell you that based on the crowds that I have seen at Milk and Honey Coffee, you're going to be standing in line outside in the heat for a long time to get a cup of coffee. They're very, very popular. It's a locally owned business. It's a brand new business, new concept for them. It looks like it's going to be really a great addition to our city. We talked about the Litchfield 10K run. That 10K run was amazing. More than 700 people that were in all of the different runs. So 10K plus the fun run that some of our council members participated in. How did your husband do? He was in the 10K run. He looked like he was going to be a winner, but I don't know.
He did really well.
He did well.
I'm gonna pay for this because I don't know his time, but he had like a sub whatever time and he made it, so he achieved his goal.
I can tell you, I've seen him run. I will leave my house at times and he will leave his house and he's running. He's going on a run. And I'm gone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour sometimes. And when I get back, I see him running back. He's running from somewhere, coming down one of the streets, and I see him running back to his house and he's still running. And it's been half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. So I thought he would probably do quite well.
He did, and he's doing the Boy Scout run this weekend too.
The reason I mentioned the run is that it's a part of our history. That run has been around, I think, since way before we were a city. So it goes back into the 60s and 70s when it was first started. So it's amazing that it's lasted this long and that it has such a great turnout. It's great. Litchfield Heritage Center was groundbreaking, was also an important aspect, very important thing for our city. It's been more than a decade of work, consistent work by local citizens, Blackford Denny family, Sun Health, and the city. And to see it come together finally is a real tribute to all the people who've been involved in making it happen. Also met with the West Side legislators, a group of mayors and some city staff went down to the Capitol and met with West Side legislators to talk about issues like transportation. The governor had the legislature appropriated money to widen I-10 in the area, in the Buckeye area, Jackrabbit, it's west of Jackrabbit. I don't know, probably comes in at whatever their main street is that comes into Verrado, west of there. It's a very bad area of I-10. There's a lot of accidents and backups, and so there's about $200 million that was allocated last year to widen that stretch of I-10. The governor is now trying to take that money back. So that was one of the topics we spent a lot of time on, was what's going on with that. Also spent a lot of time on the state budget. The state budget is an absolute mess. I don't know how it's ever going to work out. Even if they don't do anything to change the tax structure in the state, there's not enough money to pay all the bills. But they're dedicated to making changes to the tax rate, the income tax rates, the way income is taxed, that will take several $100 million out of the budget. It's going to impact cities because it will reduce our state shared revenue if they do that. And somehow they still got to get this thing to balance, because they can't shut down the legislature for the year without a budget. And everybody down there wants to get the session done early this year so they can go campaign, because this is a campaign year. So it's going to be a crazy time at the state legislature, probably starting tonight. Let's see what else. Luke West Valley Council met this month. Biggest thing is the air show. I don't know, hopefully everybody here knows about the air show. You should have already seen airplanes actually over Litchfield Park. The big news, in addition to the fact that it's an air show that will draw close to 1 million people over the weekend, is that both the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, both groups are going to fly at the same time in the same air show. It's only happened 6 or 8 times in the history of the United States, so it's a big deal that both of these precision flying groups are going to be here to entertain the crowd. So if you have time to go out there, it'll be quite a show. Final thing is that we have also had discussions both with the staff. I've had discussions with staff and with the developers to solve the CFD issue. And that's an issue, I guess, that we're going to talk about further in executive session tonight, so that we'll bring the council more up to date on what's going on with the CFD. That completes my report. So now, Mr. City Manager, do you have anything that you want to
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
go into beyond what's in your report?
Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, the report is in your packet. I certainly welcome any questions if you have any. Thank you for the kind comments on State of the City. It seems for me that every year State of the City gets easier. And that's a testament to staff that it does that every year it gets simpler and runs smoother and smoother. And thank you for staff, for everyone that was involved. And it was a big change. And I think it was a good change and it went well. And thank you for everyone that worked on that. One thing I would advise Mayor and Council, of course, the residents that are here as well, is Litchfield Road is getting under construction. If you haven't seen it, they've started pouring the curbs for the roundabout. They have destroyed the entrance to my neighborhood off Litchfield Road there. So we knew that was coming. And Monday, Litchfield Road will be going down to a 2-lane road, 1 lane north, 1 lane south, and it will be that way for the next 4 months. So traffic is certainly going to back up between Glendale and Camelback. So anyone that has concerns about traffic, I would advise them to use Dysart. I will be daily. So just know there's going to be a lot of traffic backups. Obviously, we waited to do the 2-lane till after Loop Days, which is this weekend. But the roundabout is getting under construction. So just be aware of that. There will be a lot of traffic backups as this road gets built. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Can we have somebody work the traffic light to assist the traffic through?
You know, as far as Camelback?
Yeah, it just backs up now. They've got those down to 1 lane and it's backing up to Bird.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I would refer that question to our
And
city.
backing up past Bird.
Sure.
Right now, there's 3 contractors working in that area. So Official is installing fiber up to the school, as part of the school project. So they're responsible for everything south of Camelback. They should be done by, I'm hoping Friday. When that happens, that restriction south of Camelback, it'll just be a taper starting for our project, roughly about Starbucks heading north. And then when sun kicks in for Sun Health, then it'll be all the way to Camelback. That's probably 2-3 weeks after Monday. So it'll be very, and we'll back up. To answer your first question, I've talked to McDonald, they're gonna play with the time and give us a little more action on more stuff.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
anything else?
No, sir.
No, all right. That takes us to the call to the community. We do have one request to speak. This is an opportunity for citizens to speak to the council on a non-agenda item. If you want to speak, there's a form to be filled out so that we can keep track of who you are. We have a request to speak from Pam McKinney. If you'd like to come up.
Evening. I had 2 topics that I wanted to raise with the council. And the first one is unleashed dogs in the parks. I have an Aussie that I walk daily. And I've seen this, obviously not every day, but I've had issues with dogs that are unleashed. One example, and it happened just about 10 days ago. I was walking with my dog east along the lake. And I saw a guy with his 2 unleashed dogs. He was playing with them on the east side of the lake. So I went across the street to avoid and continued walking. The dogs saw me. They came across the street for my dog. I had to back up. I didn't want to make any, drastic movements because the dogs were coming at us. So I was backing up. I was yelling at the guy to get his dogs. And I ended up backing up into a parked vehicle and I had nowhere to go. Well, fortunately, the guy swooped in at that moment and he got the worst one out of the way. And I told him that there was an ordinance that you're not supposed to have unleashed dogs in the city. He didn't say a word to me. That similar situations have happened to me. And I don't always tell people, that they're not supposed to have their dogs unleashed. But one time I did, and the woman yelled back at me and said, I can't have it. I can't help it if you have a problem. And she ignored me. And she had 2 dogs over in the park that's near here between, it's next to the Episcopal Park, across from the lake on the west side. So those are 2 examples. And we do have the signs posted, but my question is, do we ever enforce these? And how is that handled? Because people are ignoring it. I did have one suggestion, and I also this week saw a guy in the new park. He was with his dog unleashed. Usually these people have a leash by them, but the dogs are loose. I was in Vancouver in September and I saw a very nicely worded sign that maybe might educate people. So I've got a picture and I can leave it with you. And I'm hoping that something can be done proactive concerning this. The other thing that I had that I wanted to ask about was at the September 2024 public meeting asking for input about the new library. It was heated, as people who were there will remember. And somebody, I believe it was a city employee, not a council member, said that Amazon style lockers were either going to be invested or investigated or were being investigated concerning maybe some way that people who live here in Old Litchfield Park would be able to pick up books if they couldn't get up to the new library. And I didn't know what the status was, if that was being investigated, but I'm certainly in favor of that. There are some people that it's just going to be difficult for them to get up there. And so if there would be a way that we could get something like that put here in the old park, I don't know how that would work, but I like that idea. So I just wanted to mention that also. That is all I had. I'm not sure what you want to do with the picture.
Give it to me, I'll put it on file.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you taking your time to come down and speak to us. Since this is an item that's not on our agenda, we really can't comment on it directly tonight. If there's a comment that's necessary from the council, we will make it at our next regularly scheduled meeting. In the interim, you may hear from staff who may contact you to discuss your issues in more detail and see if there's something that staff can do to help alleviate the situation. Okay. All right, that takes us then to the presentation section. We're going to go a little bit out of order and take presentation 5B first, because we have a couple of individuals here to receive the proclamation. This is a proclamation about a group called CASA. It is a group that provides services to children in need because of various issues with court, because of family issues. It's a group that I know a number of people from Litchfield Park have participated in and have been trained and are actual CASA volunteers. So this is a recognition of the work that CASA does. Whereas the health, safety, and well-being of Arizona's children are fundamental to the prosperity of our communities and the future of our state. Whereas each year, thousands of Arizona children enter the child welfare system due to reports of abuse or neglect, experiencing uncertainty, instability, and a lack of consistent support during a challenging time in their young lives. Whereas a court-appointed special advocate, or CASA, is a trained volunteer appointed by a judge to advocate for the best interests of a child in foster care, ensuring their voices are heard and their needs are met in court proceedings, placement decisions, and other critical areas. Whereas CASA volunteers provide an invaluable service by building trusted relationships with their appointed youth, advocating for timely permanency and stability, promoting more positive outcomes, and helping children pursue their dreams and lead self-determined lives. Whereas Arizona CASA volunteers work diligently in partnership with judges, attorneys, social workers, and community partners to ensure these children have support, resources, opportunities, both now and in the future. Whereas CASA Volunteer Week provides an opportunity to recognize and honor the dedication of our CASA volunteers that reside in Litchfield Park and throughout Arizona, and raise awareness about the urgent need for more individuals to step up and make a difference in the lives of children in foster care. Now, therefore, I, Thomas L. Schoaf, Mayor of the City of Litchfield Park, do hereby proclaim April 6th through 12th, 2026 as CASA Volunteer Week, and encourage all Arizonans to learn more about CASA Volunteer Program and applaud the extraordinary contributions of CASA volunteers and consider becoming a CASA volunteer. Dated the 18th day of March 2026, and here from CASA, we have two representatives to receive the proclamation if they would come up. Thank you for your service. I got two of them. This one's easier for me to read. He's got bigger titles.
Thank you guys so much, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your work for the community. We appreciate it. I know from personal experience, being an attorney, but also
Oh,
knowing CASA volunteers and seeing what they do, that you guys do a great job. So thank you very much.
all right. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council member, for recognizing CASA Week and shining a light on all of the work the representative of the volunteers do. Very meaningful, and this is this time. Park has recognized us. We're very, very grateful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Okay, the next presentation is a proclamation on Arbor Day. I don't think we have a representative here. This is a proclamation that recognizes Arbor Day as being very important to our community. We are a community that is awarded recognition every year for the number of trees that we have in our community. We're a tree, is it Tree USA, I think?
Tree City USA, sir.
Tree City USA.
Yes, sir.
Because we as a community value the fact that the trees give us shade, they help our community be beautiful, and they cool down the temperatures, I think, overall within our city. So we want to recognize Arbor Day and recognize the importance that trees are in our everyday lives. So thank you. Now we'll go on to the report section of the agenda. The report section starts with our Goodyear 5 report. Chief Frenchman.
Sir. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. I want to share with you our Litchfield Park Fire Activity Report for the last month, February. In our operations division, we ran a total of 71 incidents over the month. That's actually down 3 from last year this same time. 64 of those were EMS incidents, emergency medical calls. One of them was a vehicle accident, and one was a cardiac arrest incident. 2 of those were fire incidents, one vehicle fire and then a trash fire. And then we had 1 false alarm. And then with the metrics of Litchfield Park runs, we are at 8 incidents per 1,000 population. And we wanted to include the city of Goodyear's metrics on that as well. So we're at 9 incidents per 1,000 population. So relatively the same call volume, if you would, for the density of the city. Community response unit responded to 2 incidents. Those were a vehicle accident and check welfare incident. For our fire prevention division, 37 occupancy inspections, 2 plan reviews, and then 2 construction permits were issued. For our care centers, La Loma, we had 12 total incidents. 11 of those patients were transported, and we had 2 fall injuries, and both of those patients were transported as well. For the Hacienda Del Rey, 17 total EMS incidents, 16 of those patients were transported, 2 of which were falls and 2 of which were transported at the same time. So that's all I have to share with you for tonight.
Thank you, council. Any council questions? Thank you for including the number per 1,000 in the report again.
Yep.
Makes it is interesting to see that our numbers are close, at least most months.
Correct.
Was there somebody else who had a question? Matthew was pointing at something.
You said what I was gonna say, sir.
Oh, okay. That's good. All
Thank you.
right, thank you very much. Please thank the guys that are working on this.
Absolutely.
For us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item is the report from the Avondale Litchfield Park Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. For the month of February 2026, we had 661 calls for service. That's in comparison to last year, this time when we had 474. So you may imagine a lot of those come from our traffic officer that we have now in the city. So out of those 661 calls for service, 81% were officer initiated and 19% were citizen initiated. Last month, we had 396 traffic stops. That's in comparison to last year where we had 132 traffic stops. In February 2026, we had 209 citations written in comparison to 40 this time last year. Year to date, we've had 9 accidents compared to 22 this time in February of last year. We can attribute that to the traffic enforcement that our Litchfield Park traffic officer is doing. And because of the work that he's doing, he's also motivating the other officers. So that's why we've had an increase of traffic enforcement. And given this information of Litchfield Road that will be going under construction effective Monday, we'll be out there even more for presence during those rush hour times to make sure that the public is safe.
Right. Any questions from council? Thank you for your service.
Thank you so
did a
much.
Great job.
We
Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Okay, takes us now to staff reports. We have a finance report from Ms. Peters.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Your report is in your packet. I don't have anything specific to point out, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, council.
No, doesn't look like it. Glad to see you're still there, keeping some money in the bank. That's
What do you think?
keeps all of us happy. All right, we'll go on then to our communication update with Ms. Yosha.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The February communications report is in your packet. Happy to answer any questions. I just wanted to, again, extend my thank you for all of your participation to make State of the City successful. So thank you.
Okay, questions for communications? No? We're getting through these areas very quickly tonight.
Right.
Good job.
Thank you.
And very good job on the State of the City presentation. Both you and Chuck did wonderful work. Thank you. Okay, takes us to contamination plume update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, reports in the packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I just have a comment, and you can see it actually on those 3 drawings right there. And this is just again to bring the council and the staff up to date in terms of what those 3 drawings represent. Back in 2010, when we as a city first became knowledgeable about the plume, you can see, if you look, it's hard to see, it's got a small picture, but at the very top of that bright green area is where our lake is. You can probably point that out for them. It's right in there. Yep. Here. So, and the plume is pretty well delineated in that picture at the time, and probably it may have been a little bit later, but as it got up to about well, maybe 2000, we were concerned that the plume was going to get in the lake. And we started a testing program on the lake well to make sure that if we found TCE in the lake, that we would be able to react to it. And the other thing is, if you look at the eastern boundary, the eastern green boundary almost gets to Dysart Road. Dysart Road, just to the east of Dysart Road, is where about half of the drinking water for the city of Avondale comes from. All their wells a lot of their wells are in that area. And so we have a very strong relationship between all 3 or 4 of the cities on the west side, and particularly the 3 that are here working together with Goodyear Avenue and Litchfield Park. So we worked and literally went to Washington, D.C. We went to the state legislature. We threatened the Crane, the people that own Crane Corporation. I forget the name of the listed company, but we let him know, we let the president of Crane and the board of directors, the president of the board of directors of Crane know that we were going to start taking out advertisements in his hometown paper, explaining how dangerous this plume was for all the residents out here if they didn't get serious or get serious about getting this thing cleaned up. So between the EPA and Crane, they finally got it in their head that they're going to have to do something, and we started cleaning it up. And you can look after this number of years, we look at the third side, the colors are all better. The amount of TCA pollution in there, TCE pollution is down based on, you can just see the colors, and the size of the plume is down dramatically. And that's all because of significant efforts put on by Litchfield Park and the city of Avondale to make that happen. So I'm happy that you're still following it, and clearly we want to keep following it, but it is going in a way that now it's not a danger to our city. And it's not a danger to the drinking wells that are important for our neighbors, so.
And this is the latest one, fourth quarter of last year. Harder to tell, but it is shrinking. You can see that the concentrations of dark orange are almost gone. Yep. That's what we want to get rid of. The green outlines are the cusp of the maximum contaminant limit, because at some point it gets hard to detect, almost impossible to detect. It means there's a chance and likely that some of these areas are very light concentration, but it's below the contaminant and measurable limits. But presumably those are all even still getting sucked in. And what I can try to bring the next time is, and I have a smaller map here, but the cluster and concentration, as you alluded to, of number of wells, hundreds of wells have been drawn throughout this area. And there is thousands and thousands of feet, many miles of extraction and injection wells. So to what you said, Mr. Mayor, along the Dysart, they had a lot of extraction wells. They pull the water in, treat it, and inject it into other areas. They're kind of almost driving the plume by injecting clean water while sucking out the bad water. So driving it in, driving it in, driving it in.
As we started in 2010, there literally were no significant wells trying to control this thing in the
They were doing nothing.
I'm sorry?
They were doing nothing.
They were doing nothing. I mean, there were no wells.
Yeah.
And so getting these wells put in was huge to literally try to push this plume into the areas where there were extraction wells to treat it.
The plume came up Litchfield Road, and where all the farms were, where Pebble Creek now is, all those irrigation wells were causing that plume to fish up to the left and go out to those irrigation wells toward Pebble Creek, where Pebble Creek is now. As Pebble Creek was built out, those wells quit drawing, and that plume started marching north, starting to impact our city. That's when we got very, very active, because it was coming right at us.
Yeah, it was a very serious problem. And it's good to see that it's one of the success stories of the EPA Superfund sites that actually it's a Superfund site that actually is getting cleaned up.
Yeah, only because we jumped in and started screaming and yelling. Otherwise,
well, we threatened some pretty nasty action to the people involved in it, and
we hired experts. We spent a lot of money.
Yeah, we hired experts. We did everything we needed to do to get this thing fixed with the.
Keep watching it.
Yep, keep your eye on it.
They're surprisingly still drilling wells. The original contamination area right down here. They have several ponds and lagoons that treat the TCE. I drive north on Bullard every day to come to work. I drop my kids off, and they have active pipes that are dumping into the RID canal. So that's the treated water. There's also the golf course gets a decent amount of it to use as well. So they're making good progress.
Success story. Thank you. So we're gonna do CIP next.
Absolutely. Reports in the packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions and add additional information. I thought it would be pertinent on the citywide street repair program. I added a little information. Just wanted to illustrate that the city has throughout time spent a lot of money on the streets in the last 5 or 6 years, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, still doing the street maintenance replacement. Dysart Indian School was one of those sections that did need attention. We finished that up last year. As you recall, Vista Verde, the area over here directly across the street, Inca Maya, Tainter, complete street replacement. The year before that, we did, I think it was 140 street segments in 2023. This year, we're on track to do, I think, we've tapered it off a little bit. We're down to about 105 street segments. Just heard back from the contractor on some tighter schedules. So middle of April, we'll be doing all the street replacement that takes the whole top layer of asphalt off and repaves in several street segments. On the 20th, they'll come back out and do all the mill and overlay segments. The evening of April 6th, we will have a complete closure of the Dysart Camelback intersection from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. We have, that was what was approved at council meeting. Just got traffic control plans, so we're going through McDOT because north of the intersection is McDOT. I definitely recommend everybody avoid that intersection in the evening. It's going to be
Who's Litchfield Road?
thought it was a good idea to yeah. Thought it was a good idea by the contractor, offered up to the night work, said we can get it done one evening instead of stretching out over 2 to 3 days, which would be a rolling closure, and it would just cause an issue with trucks and everybody going through there.
Better result if you can just close the intersection. Councilor James.
What time is that again? 8 to 6?
8, right now it's 8 to 6. We have to wait to see what McDOT says. Hopefully they'll play ball, but essentially what happens is we'll have soft closures at the mile before the intersection with road closed ahead. And then obviously we'll taper down each lane as it goes down. When it gets to the intersection, for those who just didn't want to listen, there's a bailout into the any driveways. So people coming eastbound can either get into the AutoZone to kind of go through the parking lot, can turn right onto the Bashes. So all those commercial complexes will have the last ditch effort to get out, do your U-turn and get out of there because you made a mistake. You didn't listen to the 15 signs before it. I talked with our communications department. We're gonna get mailers out and knock on some doors to let everybody know, the businesses, and my favorite part, letting the trucking industry know that don't keep going, go around somewhere else. Bashes doesn't want a load of gravel dropped off in the parking lot in the middle of the night. Followed by, in a combination of, in the further part of in April and into May, we'll do finish up the crack seal that we haven't done. PMM, which is a light slurry, it's a type 2 slurry. It's a good rejuvenation coat. And then for the areas we're going to do crack seal, for the most part, we're going to micro seal, which has fine aggregate. It kind of fills in all the cracks that were missed and then levels out the crack seal, so you're not just hearing the road for the next year while it's not covered. So that's what I got.
Councilman. I saw his hand first.
That's fine.
Councilman Clay.
Okay, so we've got, appreciate the report first off. We got 105 items. Looks like we got a budget of 1.4 starting mid to late April. Do they have a timeline for completion for the initial project that they're going? And I know it's going to be a rolling annual process, but the initial work that's starting in April, how long do they plan on working? What is the projected timeline for getting work completed?
I'm waiting for the crack seal, the micro seal, because so we can do the crack sealing, the asphalt repair, the asphalt replacement, mill and overlay, no matter what time of year. Obviously, we're in the warm time now, so that's why we can roll right into those 3 items afterwards. The idea is by mid-May to be done with the micro seal, to be done with everything. I'm waiting for that schedule to come in. So hopefully by the time, early April for the replacement of Dysart, mid-April for the remove and replace, we're gonna remove and place, I think 4 segments. The mill and overlay has several other locations, and then the crack seals, a majority of that 105 segments. So a lot of the streets, it's kind of a deceitful number because several of those are getting several treatments. We just treat each treatment as its own section. So Roadrunner Asphalt, they do this for a living, so they're pretty streamlined. So I'm hoping that I will have at the next council meeting the end date of when it will be done in May.
And I think we set up a program that's gonna be rolling year to year, correct?
Yeah, and that's, we have a 10-year plan, and obviously we had to have a little pause on it for a short time for finishing up the square. So we're picking back up where we left off in the previous effort. And then the 10-year plan projects out all these different treatments, and then it rolls sections of street that need to get removed and replaced. Will fit into these areas as we go throughout the 10-year plan.
And will the future work be looking to be done April, May timeline again? Or will we try to get it done before seasonal changes?
A lot of it comes down to funding, we have monthly, right, Paige, we get monthly HERF money, so we're gonna use all the HERF money for all this, so we have to get a little bit more. We also use capital money, combination of, we put in the CIP. So depending on how we wanna break that up, we can do portions before, after, during cold weather. The idea being that this time of year is a good time because we can get it all done by the same contractor in a run and shoot effort. That's what we did the previous section. We did 140. I think those were stretched out from like April, June. So this is kind of the good time of year to do it because you can put all the treatments down.
So the ideal time to do this is April, May.
Roughly, yeah. You can do pavement replacement any time of year, if we're peeling the whole thing off or if we're doing mill and overlay. So if we identify sections, we have the funding, we can stretch it out and do it any time of year. So it's not just one big hit also.
But we should plan for funding for this time of year so that you can get it booked well in advance so that we have it lined up.
Sure, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Allen?
My question was related to the finances of this. So we're using HERF monies and we're using all of it, you said. So how does this affect our future pavement maintenance schedule?
In regards to funding, so kind of what I alluded to, a lot of it is HERF money, and that's what we use historically. We use HERF for other parts of repairs throughout the year. So if there's sections of curb gutter, sidewalk, asphalt, the work that just happened on the northeast corner of Litchfield and Camelback, for instance, that was HERF money to repair those ramps. So we plan for a little bit of drawdown throughout the year, and historically, from what I can see, and it's a good practice, is we're getting those payments every month, and then by the time we get to this time of year, we have that chunk, and then we can draw it all down. And then capital money is also available in the budget, and this also gives us that stretch after the fiscal year to make sure that's available as well.
Okay, so similar to what Ron was saying, then every year in April and May, that's when we're going to use our planned HERF money to pay for some of these pavement maintenance things. Is that what I'm understanding from you?
That's what I'm projecting to do. It's getting cyclical so that we're expecting that drawdown the same time every year. If it comes to a point where we don't have the available funding for any reason, if we have to do a big project, or we are spending a lot of money on the roundabout with the HERF money as well. That's a planning thing in the capital program. So we planned to use it for the roundabout, and we knew that it was going to draw a lot of it down. So, but we knew it was there, so we can do both projects concurrent, which is what we're doing, roundabout and pavement management at the same time.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Allen, just a little point to back up Keith there. So the HERF budget is about $550 a year. we have an additional $300,000 that's in CIP that we do annually. We started doing that years ago at our former city engineer's recommendation, because basically we have more road need than we have HERF money. So, we have money in CIP that's in addition to the HERF money, and it's there if we need it, because again, trying to keep up with work. But it's also with the big projects coming up, between us rebuilding, well, the Litchfield roundabout alone is 4 times your annual HERF budget. And other road work we're going to be doing, that's going to be, our finance director, assistant city manager, we're talking about that in a few months as far as how we're going to pay for those things. But you're going to have easily 10 times your HERF budget in the next few years that we'll be building, because we're building so much at one time, right? But I just want council to understand that there's a HERF money annual that we go through. Again, it's about $550 that comes in monthly, as was said. But there's additional monies that's in the CIP budget to help with road work as well, so we can get done what we need to get done. Because again, we have more road work to do than we have HERF money. Not to get too political, the HERF tax has not been changed in years. The HERF tax should be updated to the state, but that's a different conversation. So anyway.
Also doesn't help that we don't get any more HERF money when we annex streets. So having Camelback and then the mill and overlay that we're doing in Dysart and Camelback, we're the same HERF money we're getting for that.
Councilor Clare, a comment on, as we're going through this, I mean, obviously HERF doesn't cover everything that's there, so we have to budget other money to be able to take care of these projects. And we just, I think we've spoken about that, is we're going to include general funds if necessary to get these projects together.
Yes, sir.
So if we have a way to schedule in advance to get better rating or better rates and better services, so that we know that time is scheduled, I think we should be able to plan in advance for that. Regardless of what the HERF is, we know that the budget for this project is X. You have that budget because we've approved it, not just HERF. So we say, if you need more structure, ask for it so that we can plan for it in advance to make your job easier. So that the scheduling is done well in advance. That'd be my thought on that. I did have a secondary question on Camelback Wall, if I can. We've been at 95%, it seems like, for a while on D&E. Do we have any future? What is the next step? Because it just feels like it's been sitting there.
Councilman McClure, that's a good question. Actually got off the phone with the contractor. We're having price it right now. So there's real movement on it now. We've had obviously a lot of capital projects going on. The Hilltop alone has 7 projects happening. Not that that's an excuse, but it is my reason why I haven't built the wall yet. Contractor that built the last section wall is pricing it. And I hopefully should get a price in the near future. The consultant that did the plans has more or less, they're not doing municipal projects anymore. So it's been a challenge getting them to finish my plans. I had our on-call consultant review the plans and provide comments and updates, so they're in better shape now, having that happen. I would anticipate that as long as we don't have a block delay, which getting the blocks like we did here, which I'm told there's still a delay, but it's not as bad as it was. But time will tell when I get that price and the schedule from them.
And the wall contract will plan for the April agenda, correct?
That's the plan.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman McClure, the other thing I wanted to mention, what you said earlier about pricing. Actually, this time of year seems to be a good time of year to get these contractors coming out of the cold season, and they've been itching to get work. So one of the things that the contractor told me was we hit it at a good time because for that reason, and then also there's a interestingly large supply of oils already in the US that aren't being affected by recent increases. So there's a surplus that we're getting to better prices, better rates, and the contractor being hungry gives us a better rate for the labor and material, for the labor and equipment.
Perfect. I love hearing that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
One more point to raise, it will come up later, but I noticed that the cost of the public works facility has jumped from 1.9 million to 3 million in a year. So that'll come up later, but I just wanted to make note of that.
You can anticipate it.
Yeah, Councilman Fraser, good point. We actually had a similar, it's steel. We had a similar issue with the library. The reason why it actually sat for a little longer than I was comfortable with without a roof. Because the supplier that Hayden had, fortunately Hayden had a secondary supplier that they could go to quickly, but the supplier overcommitted themselves and then got hit with supply logistics of their own and essentially walked away from the project from Hayden. And unfortunately they had a secondary supplier who they handed the POs to and gave it to them, and they reviewed it and said, we can do it for this. So steel is causing an issue. We'll have a small feel on that for the wall, because we have the iron, the wrought iron. So not that it's a lot of the wall, but it's something that the contractor has mentioned to us, is that there's a little bit of a lead time on steel, but fortunately we gotta have the block up. And by the time the block's up, steel should be here by then. But yeah, it seems that steel is getting up there.
Councilman Allen.
I had a question on the Hilltop Park and the water connection there. That was supposed to happen, I think, earlier this month, right? Did that get connected? Is there water up there?
Councilman Allen, we've had a lot of conversations about that today with the various contractors up there. That it can turn into a waterfall explanation. I hope I don't get too far into the weeds, but essentially it's an order. It all relies on McCarthy, because they built the infrastructure that we connected to, which was planned long time ago. But what happened to them was delays with APS, and the issue with delays with APS delayed the sewer and the water installation on the actual school site. We should have had water many months ago, but those different issues, and APS is still rearing its head of being a little bit of an issue for other reasons. But you have to build the sewer first, so that you know where you can wiggle your water line up and down, around and through. So they went in that order, and then they can't connect the system until Liberty approves everything, all the way down to adjusted valves to the grade. So they don't normally at the Litchfield Square, we couldn't do the handoff and get the buy off from Liberty until we paved and adjusted everything to grade. What we're getting a benefit here at the school is they're going to give us those approvals earlier than paving. So they finished the crossing of Litchfield Road, paved everything, had the water tested. The water line is currently hot, which is another way of saying it's full of chlorine, and it has to sit there for several days full of chlorine, because they take various vaccine tests, and they send it off to lab, and they determine basically it's a clean water line. If crossing our fingers nothing comes back, because then they got to flush it all and redo it all over again. But if all of that works and all the testing comes back, McCarthy has told us that Liberty's going to turn on the valves within 2 weeks.
So the water's been connected, you're just waiting for the testing.
Yeah, the water line's connected all the way through. They turn on the valves to turn the system on and fill it full of water until it comes out at the far end. They put chlorine in there, turn everything off, test it, do everything. If all the testing comes back, and assuming there's no leaks, no pressure drops all at the same time, they'll approve service connections, which is the meters and the fire hydrants. They're going to hold 1 meter hostage. That's the deal. And what that really means is, when we don't need it, it's a landscape meter. So the supply water and the fire hydrants will be live in what we're hoping is less than 2 weeks. And what that does is, now that there's fire protection, now the interior of the building can get going a lot faster as well. But that leaves us the opportunity to possibly extend the connection to the Hilltop, which I know we're all concerned about getting started construction on the Hilltop restoration project. And in the meantime, we do have a water tank that McCarthy is supplying, so that Waltz can get started on construction up there in the meantime anyways. But we need fire protection, which is, I think, the real big thing that's holding that up. And so the plan is to see if we can get a temporary hydrant kind of extended up the hill within the fire department's pole distance, a couple 100 feet from the main house. And hopefully that will happen through these after the water is treated.
But does the library have water?
Library's water connection. The quick answer is no, but their connection comes off of Litchfield.
So they have a different connection.
Yeah.
But they don't have water.
They have a Klein tank, a big tank in the air and a fire hydrant with a water meter on it. So that's their water for now. And over directly east of the library is where their meter connections are gonna happen. So it comes off of Litchfield, and that's just there's a difference between a line extension, like the school built, and then a service connection. Service connections are a lot easier to get and a lot quicker. So the library by that will have water quicker than, I actually probably turn on about the same time.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more question.
Okay,
I'm sorry, really fast.
not thank you yet.
Sorry, thank you in 5 minutes, Keith. Less than that. The Litchfield Road, Missouri Avenue traffic signal. It says that there will be a cost recovery with Sun Health to pay for half of the design and construction fees. When does that come? When does that cost recovery come?
Yes, ma'am. That is a great question. So that will be eventually when Sun Health builds that road. When they build that loop road one day that will connect from Missouri down to Camelback, at that time they will owe us half of that signal, but it could be a decade from now. It absolutely depends when they build.
So the question that I had was it says the additional school district adjacent ways funding in the amount of 500,000 is expected for these intersection improvements.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that something how did that come to be?
Sorry. That is a deal that I worked out with the school district because there was a similar problem where a similar situation where Augur Freya paid for half of a signal in Goodyear with the Goodyear High School project. And basically, I agreed with Augur Free District that they should pay for half of the signal here. Because that school being built is really what warrants that signal. It was very close to meeting warrant before the school was built. And once the school opens, it will be well over warrant, which necessitates the light. So that's why.
So how much does Sun Health pay?
Half the cost of the signal.
So does Litchfield pay sort of nothing in all of this then?
I suppose you could look at it that way. I would tell you that the money from Augur Free for the signal, you could say it's for the roundabout, you could say it's for the signal. It's some money for some of the infrastructure there in that section because it directly benefits the school, if that makes sense. Either way, Sun Health will still pay for half the cost of that signal because that is a DA requirement. But again, it may be years before you get it back.
And then I also saw that Sunset Terrace paid for part of that too.
Yes, ma'am. Very little.
Okay.
Very little money.
They got the smoking deal of the century
Yeah.
because back when they contributed, that was when signals were $200,000.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now thank you for real. Okay, special projects update.
I'm back. Let's talk about sheds up at, just. But Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, my report is in your packet regarding Litchfield Square, Maloma, and the Thomas projects. Wanted to bring a couple of visuals for you today. We had a very kind offer by McCarthy for them to fly the drone the wrong way. And they flew it this way at our library instead of at their school site. So they wanted to provide this very glitchy presentation to you. Maybe we can update to fiber connection in the near future and fix some of these connection concerns. But this is already outdated. That's the wonderful thing about progress, and progress keeps being made as we go through this project. I wanted to also show a couple of photos that were shared with us today by the McCarthy team. They are at painting the drywall, already textured drywall in some of these classroom spaces. This is the media center. I think they used to call that a library. I don't know if it's a library anymore. I don't know if they have books anymore. This is the cafeteria where the food fighting will be for those artsy kids. They have garage roll doors that look north into their quad space where they hacky sack and do the, devil sticks and all those sorts of things, and Conga drums. This is the band room. This is where I would be if this was me 20, a long time ago. Let's just say it like that. This is at the media center looking down from above. There are more classroom spaces above. The ceramics room kind of looks like ceramics right now. Maybe they can leave it as is and say it's an unfinished ceramics project. This is a gallery in building B. This is the film studio in C. This is the lobby. This is the bigger than City Hall lobby. Before you go into the theater, you can see the bar, which is that structure that's being built right there, and then one of the passageways to get into the house. And then this would be as if you were on stage looking out into the house. We had a chance, McCarthy gave us a tour this week. I did a little Julius Caesar while we're sitting up here looking into the house. It is a mess of scaffolding as they're getting ready to finish the ceiling. And then that might be the end of my pictures. So happy to answer any questions as mentioned on my report.
Question about the library. So one of the things that we typically are careful about is having four-sided architecture. And when I look at the library building, it doesn't appear that we have four-sided architecture, at least at this point. I'm wondering, are there finishes or facades that are going to go on those on the east side of the library to make it more interesting architecturally?
Mayor, yes, is the short answer to your question.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I don't need a huge explanation. It's just I want to make sure that it's going to the whole thing up there is going to be visually very pleasing. And I just I was not happy with the wall that points, that you see looking to the west. That back wall just looks like it's really plain.
Yes, it's the same people that say, "Why is the school purple?"
Right. Well, no, they've got
purple. Yeah, it's the best time right now because all the boring structural is done, and now the embellishments are starting to really take shape and show.
Yeah. Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Clare.
The Thomas,
Yes.
seeing a lot of progress going on over there.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Have they done the wall, done the other infrastructure pieces that we asked them to do as part of the development agreement?
The Councilman Clay, the short answer is it's all being done at the same time in the various areas. The off-street improvements, the off-site improvements, on street improvements. The wall is being done. We did find he found a structural engineer, that could raise the existing slump block and found a compatible block, and that's being coordinated with each one of those owners. I know Brian's out there constantly trying to get that all situated. There's a little bit of utility work that affected all that as far as how they were doing the footings and putting the block on top.
Councilman James.
I saw Brian last week. I said, when are you going to be done? He said, this was last week. He said 45 to 60 days was his estimated timeline. The dirt. When did the exfil start?
The Mount Approach, as we call it? Yes. Yeah, not my ward. Someone else gave it that name and it's stuck. He was dates in the past. The current date with an asterisk is on March 30th, which is not next Monday, but the following Monday. We're all hopes that it's true and does not get pushed back again.
And those trucks will load the dirt and go out into the one lane Litchfield Road?
To Camelback.
They're going to Camelback.
So besides our weekly meetings with the roundabout crew, the library crew, the school crew, we have a separate meeting that is Sunland, Nesbitt, Waltz, McCarthy, Hayden, I'm missing somebody, but the room is filled. And we all talk about the things you're talking about, and we just verbally work things out, let's just say. So we cannot delay the roundabout. Can't delay the school, can't delay the library. They're all on track and looking perfect for the end of July, ribbon cutting at each one of those. With the dirt haul off, we're very cognizant of the fact that we will not delay them in their ability to do so. We have two ideas that we're working through in order for them to get onto Litchfield Road, accelerate, and then merge. That is the goal, so that they can take the turn at Camelback. The worst case scenario
is that they would have to have a flagger and basically hold traffic to get the truck out and up to speed because it wouldn't be possible to merge. That's the backup plan. But the primary is to accommodate everyone through some very tricky negotiations with traffic control.
Seems important.
Two quick points on dirt. He's doing a great job explaining it. One, 100 loads of dirt have already left. That was taken by another company. You may have seen that dirt leaving, so that's done. That being said, it's a dirt in the sand bucket, a drop in the sand bucket, so to speak, because there's a whole lot more dirt left to leave. So as Randy said, that's scheduled to start on March 30th. Again, it's going to be very busy on Litchfield Road, so please avoid that section. But that dirt will be leaving. It's my understanding from our weekly meeting day with Agua Fria that Agua Fria is spending $300,000 to remove the dirt stockpiles, isn't that right?
Yeah, just under.
So a lot of dirt that's going to be leaving, and again, Litchfield will be very busy because it will be a 2-lane road, and that's before you put hundreds of dump trucks into it. So please avoid that section of road if you can.
All right,
Sorry to interrupt. I thought it was an important point.
Councilman Allen.
I had a question about Litchfield Square. You had mentioned in your report Rodolfo's downtown project. So I guess what I'm seeing is the permits were resubmitted a couple times, and I'm kind of understanding that the permitting process can be challenging to navigate. So I'm wondering if this level of back and forth is typical, and if there's an opportunity here to take a look at our permitting process to make sure that have opportunities for streamlining or improving the process so that we don't have this back and forth.
Councilmember Allen, I'm gonna try to break down the questions individually. Is there an opportunity to streamline? Yes. I've probably made the joke before. I had to find my engineering scale when I came here. I haven't reviewed paper plans in 6-7 years at this point. We are exploring and investigating an online system which would permit not only online applications, no more paper forms, but electronic plan review, electronic payments, electronic routing approvals, so that instead of the set of old plans going from desk to desk to desk with red lines, we could all look at it together and all be part of that solution quicker. So yes, you may see that in the upcoming budget discussions. The other question about our customer service as it is today is we insisted they come in. Normally, in most situations, you missed this, you missed that. You said that the emergency routing was going to lead you into a landscaping. How does someone in a wheelchair exit a flaming building into landscaping? Things like that. When this was reviewed the second time, we had them come in and we went line by line on every single thing that they missed and found a solution with them so that it was proclaimed directly to them. They also brought in a little 3D model. I don't know if you saw the 3D model that was on the conference room table. So we could actually take apart the entirety of the building and point at things and make sense of that sort of thing. I actually did talk with Mike this afternoon. His architect has higher ambitions than the budget restraints. So he and his architect are working through some differences of embellishment. Let's just say they had an idea for pavers down the middle of the parking lot. Mike said, do I have to? I said, no, I don't know why your architect is suggesting that. So there is some internal communications that they're working through as well.
Well, I appreciate your commitment to customer service. I think that's important.
Any other questions from council?
Hopefully we see that budget requests come in as part of our strategic plan. Just gonna leave that there.
Yes, ma'am. You'll see that request soon.
Looks like no for the.
See you in a bit.
Thank you for your report. All right, magistrate court report is in your packet, and if you have any questions, give us the manager. Consent agenda items 7A through H. We're going to take item E off and talk about it separately. Is there anybody on council who wishes to take any other item on the consent agenda off for separate discussion? Now, is there a motion to adopt items 7A through H minus E? So, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, those items are adopted. Item E is the wording that's in here is slightly different than what was discussed and for which there was a consensus concerning the name of the library. The official name, as I understand the consensus, was to be the Litchfield Park Library. And then separately, we are going to put up a plaque in honor of Max Wilson. But the library is not, the whole library is not in honor, but we're going to put up a plaque. The plaque is I think, given in your packets. The plaque is also incorrect in that the very last sentence of the plaque is going to be deleted so that it doesn't have, I forget now, it's about dedication to whatever. So it makes the statement's a lot simpler.
But, Mr. Mayor, they haven't all seen the plaque, sir. We didn't want to send the plaque out to everyone until the family of the gentleman had seen it.
All right, so the plaque's gonna go to the family, but the plaque is gonna be slightly changed for if anybody has seen it, it's slightly changed from what was the original rendition of the plaque. And I assume what you're saying to the family is what is without that sentence.
Right, sir.
So what we need is a motion on E or to officially name the library as the Litchfield Park Library. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is adopted. Next item of business is the regular business section, A, public hearing on liquor license. Ms. Roth, it says you, are you gonna come to us from upon high?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, dude. These speakers are really, it's perfect. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The information's in your packet. This is basically a Series 12 application for the Green Olive. They currently have a license, but they're just adding a manager to that. Department of Liquor license requires that they receive a recommendation from council to approve, deny, or make no recommendation.
Motion to recommend approval.
Public hearing. We're in a public, let's make it more efficient. This is a public hearing. We just had a staff report. Do we have anything from the applicant?
I don't believe the applicant is in attendance, and I've not received any comment pro or con from the public.
We have a request to speak from the public. Mr. Carter Wilson wants to speak on this issue, and so we're recognizing Mr. Carter Wilson is speaking under public comment section for.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, I rise this evening in support of this application, and I urge your support also. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? If not, the public hearing is closed. Now, is there an action to make a recommendation on the liquor license, Series 12 restaurant new application for the Green Olive Bar and Grill LLC? Mr. Vice Mayor.
Recommend approval.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, item is adopted.
Thank you.
Next item is adoption of resolution 25-600 surplus property. Williams, you want to present this? This is public hearing.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Just checking one thing, sir.
Did we get this public hearing liquor license thing okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, item C is the adoption of resolution 26-600. Basically what this is, you may remember last month we had a discussion about surplusing some items, and I thought there was a way to simplify this process. Per the city charter and city code, it gives the city manager the ability to surplus items. However, upon council policy, and we didn't really have one. So that's where we are. So we looked at that. We looked at the other cities around us, and how the other cities do it is that basically real estate has to come before council for surplus or for sale, but everything else is at the discretion of the city manager. So we took that and copied that policy and would ask you to approve that. Again, obviously, any real estate transactions would require council approval, but anything else, such as a sale of a coffee cup to a used city vehicle, would all be at the discretion of the city manager. Welcome any questions if you have any of this time.
Comments from council? Is there a motion to adopt a policy, a resolution 26-600 establishing policy for surplus property sales?
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? All right, motion is adopted. You can now sell surplus property.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Engineering services, professional services, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, this is an easy one. So of course, under my discretion, I can spend up to just shy of $50,000. And we would request to increase that for this one item, basically to allow to spend up to $100,000 for engineering professional services. As you know, we have a lot of engineering work right now that we're currently doing between multiple projects. And this would allow us to spend more money on that and get some of these things done faster. That's what this is for, and request your approval on this item.
So this is for this year,
Yes, sir.
not a forever.
Not ongoing, that's correct, sir.
So is there a comment, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, where does it give you the discretion now for the 50,000? And does it,
50,000 of spending authority period.
That's right.
where?
It's in policy,
That's
we
right.
adopted.
We changed a couple years ago, Mr. Vice Mayor.
In what policy?
Yeah, I
But they
believe
pushed it
in
in.
code, it's been a few years, but it used to be, we raised it at that time, I want to say from 10 grand to 50 or
I thought it
49.99.
thought it was in the code or something.
It may be.
Changed it from,
Yeah, but
wherever it's at, we changed it from 10 to 50.
how are we changing the code with something that's not even a resolution?
We're not asking to change the code, sir. It's just to allow me to spend up to $100,000 on this item. It wouldn't be a permanent change.
Okay,
So it doesn't change anything long term.
so there's a limit on this somehow? There's no limit in this motion. It's just recommended motion.
Up to $100,000 on professional services, professional engineering services
Forever?
for this this budget
Okay,
year.
that's not in the,
Okay, that's what I asked about. Okay, so yes, it's going to be limited to this budget year.
Okay.
Councilman James.
By this budget year, do you mean the year that's ending in June, or are you talking about, are we gonna have to go through this again in July at the council meeting if you want to bump that limit?
If you want to make it per calendar year, you certainly could. To be honest, I think we'll easily spend it before June 30th. But if you'd rather do a calendar year and say till December 31 of this year, you could certainly do that. That would give more time.
How would that work with the 50/50? 50 this year, 50 next year, then we're gonna go.
Yeah, no, I think we just need it. It just needs to say this, in this budget year, we can have up to $100,000 for professional services, period.
Yeah, okay, it needs to come back.
That's fine.
Yeah, so that makes it simple. So is there a motion? Is there a motion to allow the city manager to approve spending up to $100,000 for engineering professional services this fiscal year?
So,
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is adopted. Public Works Facility Final Design.
again,
Well, now we have the question. It's already been asked.
the final design.
Yeah, well, you're still here, so.
Looks like a library.
Right.
Mayor Council, Randy, your planning director, item 8E, Public Works Facility Final Design. We're proposing a shed. And no,
It's gonna be 8 feet tall. though.
8 feet tall, we shed. Just a quick recap, and I thought it was, wanted to, real quick pause. Thank you all for the discussion. We can't have good chunky design conversations anymore, so I appreciate the feedback we got. We beat up that architect real good. He watched the entirety of the DRV presentation and the city council presentations from last time. He came in, we met with him, we beat him up some more, and we think we found the solution. So this is a modernization of the public works yard, the demolition of everything that's there, removal of the modules, and a new facility, new parking, new landscaping, and a secured storage. And this has been previously approved for the $2 million budget as part of the current fiscal year. Here's 4 small pictures. I'll blow them up on the next slides. I'm sorry for saying blow up in a city building. I should change my words. So we've somewhat simplified and unified some of the hodgepodge elements. I'll talk about a little bit more on the next slides. So the dog ear, I don't know how else to say that better, that was on the former version at the main entry is gone. The strange overhangs and recesses of the shingles is gone. So you can see now we have aligned all of these architectural elements in the front and the back of the house. The cornicing on the roof line is all consistent on all four sides and all parts of every roof. The arcade has been unified again with those shingles as well in the front. What isn't shown on these, obviously, is the landscaping. It isn't going to be bare dirt as depicted, so no worries there. The small elements of embellishment, I guess you could say, with these, these roof line elements are consistent, are thoughtful. They're not tacked on by any means. They're not increased height for no reason. There is a bit of afternoon sun on some of these windows. Certainly, what you can't see right here is the very tall wall that separates this site and the neighboring residential, which is set a little higher than the site. And then along, this is on Old Litchfield Road. If you're not looking at the Thomas, you're looking this way at our building. Again, you can clearly see where the front entry is now. There's a bit of arcade. It's on the north side of the building, so the arcade is somewhat redundant as far as it already does have shade, but it does protect from the weather elements as well. The last slide here was a bit of concern by our design review board, as the depiction of the wall looks very short in comparison to the building. The building is only as tall as it absolutely has to be for the garage and the car lift and the mezzanine. There's no additional height that is being presented in this. We certainly have the allowance to the code to make it higher, but we do not want to make it any taller than it needs to be. The other things you can't see here is obviously the landscaping as mentioned, the trees, and the guy wire with the electric.
Is the wall that's shown there, is that the right proportionate to the wall that's actually out there or not?
Mayor, I don't think it is. This is if you were on a lifted vehicle looking pretty tall above and almost looking down into the site, I don't think
That
it's.
wall's a lot taller.
It is, yes.
The 8 foot or 6 foot wall?
It's at least 8.
More than
Yeah, it's
But, yeah.
Yeah.
and that door is probably a 14-foot door. Correct. So we're a little off on our
It's 2 or
rendering.
3 feet lower on the wall's 2 or 3 feet higher.
Yeah. As far as the site itself, nothing has changed since the last time you saw it. We have maximized every inch of this site for vehicles, for storage, for the sweepers, for materials, outdoor equipment, indoor equipment. And then on the inside, the question did come up about the mezzanine. The mezzanine is as big as it can be before we get into additional emergency procedures, additional stairwell, additional fire regulations, even 1 foot wider, and it blows the budget. I know there was a discussion earlier, way out of proportion. So offices on the front end, for the various staff members, the grounds, the facilities, streets, what have you, a bit of a office and conference space, a front entry with, the lobby space, as well as, the walk-up window per se, bathroom facilities here and down here, our IT closet, mechanical, kitchen, as well as tables and chairs for the seating of all of the crew, which all go to lunch at the same time. And then, of course, the back of house operations, as we discussed last time, with our lift, with additional workbench areas for irrigation repairs, that sort of thing, long-term storage up on top, short-term storage and other areas here at the bottom as well. So again, exterior changes, no interior changes from last time we met. I don't want to belabor this evening, as I've talked enough. So our request is to recommend approval.
Okay,
I see lots of hands.
Councilman James, I guess you were the first one I saw anyway.
So if I remember correctly, reception, the public will come up to hear when they come in, right? Yeah.
Is that the end of the question? I don't want to
Oh,
get too far ahead.
So
Okay.
there are no public restrooms.
It's right. This one.
Okay. And I guess is everybody that works in this building male?
At current FTEs and part-time FTE, yes, at this time.
And all city staff that are gonna work there are all, because there's a men's walk, I just didn't see a women's restroom facility there.
It's
Right next to it.
it's too small to see the
Okay, so that's-
label. So yes, men's and women's.
I don't have a question. Never mind.
Okay.
It's unusual.
Okay, questions? Questions to council?
Mr. Mayor. And this is
Councilman
probably
Clark.
directed at Matthew. I thought at one point we were talking about potentially moving the facility over to Monument Point versus on this corner. If we moved off of that thought,
Yes, sir. We haven't proceeded much further on that. So that point can certainly be raised. For those of you that don't know what Councilmember Claire is talking about, is that we looked at Monument Point because there's land available in Monument Point. That's the industrial part there that's south of the body shop there, Burger King in that area. And that property is in the city. But the concern there was, of course, transportation of mowers back and forth. We didn't go much further with that. We did look at that as far as real estate purchase. We actually have, because the biggest reason for this was we needed extra space for material storage, that sort of thing. And I have a meeting with the school district. We're hoping that we can use that space with the school district that's there behind the district office on,
Sagebrush.
thank you, on Sagebrush. I'm not saying that will come through, but we're going to try. Because it would be great if we could move offices there to that area while we're building the new building. That's kind of where we are on that. I'm not opposed to it being at Monument Point. Obviously, we get more space. We would have to buy land there, so we don't have any land there. But it would definitely give you more space if that's something the council wanted to explore.
my thought is if it is an option that's reasonable, it's something to consider, just because one of the main corners coming into the city is a public works facility, which is always not the best representation of the entrance of the city.
Well, as I understand it, it's really engineering and public works. Right?
Yes, engineer would be there as well.
The engineering department's gonna be down there, planning's gonna be down there. And it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a nice looking building. So it's not gonna be that it's just like a maintenance facility with mowers laying around, sitting around.
They're there right now, aren't they? Is that
Well,
where
that's
all?
what it is now. I mean,
Yeah.
this will be a lot nicer than what it is now, obviously.
I struggle with Monument Point just because of the paying employees hourly to get from there to get to here every day and back and forth, probably 4 times a day if they're gonna go back for lunch, come back out again. The loss of productivity would be huge.
But being down there, you probably couldn't put engineering and planning down there. Because it's too far away from the city where most of their work's gonna be about. This location, is not perfect in the sense that it's in a neighborhood. But we've already allowed the other corner to be used as a commercial center. So we really haven't respected the fact that it's all residential anyway.
And Mayor, Council, if I may add, I've gotten 7 inquiries in the past week about development in Monument Point. I think there's a reason in 15 years it hasn't finished. And that is, I don't want to get into the weeds too much on this, but the sites are not shovel ready by any means. Some are about an acre in size, some are a little bit more than an acre in size. There are no driveway cuts. The utilities aren't ready on each site. And each of them has to retain the half-street runoff. They all have storm drains in front of them. You can see areas of depression and where it's green from all that water. So not only would we need to retain our water, but also the half-street. And that's really pushed a lot of people away from development because it's just not ready to go. And for some reason, the management company that manages that whole area does not permit parking on Estero or Cercado or 124th Avenue, I think it is. There's signs everywhere and they do tow. So I had someone that wanted to do a church there and I said, you will have to have all that parking within one of those parcels because they don't allow any on site or on the street, excuse me.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions about this design for this building?
And just general comment on cost. So it was, 2.25 million is what was, approved by council. Now we're at 3, but that's a single estimate that we have. I recognize the need for a building for city staff, but I'm uncomfortable with way costs have risen in 1 year. And I'm wondering if we designed a building, rather than design it to a budget, we designed it to, exactly what we need. I would like to see multiple estimates come in, and how can we get back to 2.25 million? Because by the time we go to build this in 1 year, that 3 million is going to be 3.5, 3.75 with the way costs are escalating. the situation around the world is not gonna help. So I just want council to recognize that this is now a $3.7 million building by the time we go to build it, and it was approved for 2.25.
And Councilmember Frazier, we'll certainly get points on different materials. For example, we looked at it before as masonry. We looked at it different ways, and we would certainly have different quotes, but I agree, the price are only going up, sir.
At the 2.25, was engineering and planning going down there? Or did we add stuff to do that?
I believe that was everybody. That was the same departments going there, sir.
And if I recall, I don't know where 2.25 is coming from. I thought it was 2.
I think a couple of years ago, there was a quote for 2.2. Keith, isn't that right? It's been a bit. I don't.
Somewhere in here is 2.2. That was what approved, and that may have included design.
I don't know, I don't think the construction funds have been approved, it's in the budget for that amount, we used, $125,000 for the design of that.
Didn't we have a quote a while back for about 2 million? I know you looked at masonry versus steel, right?
Yeah, our architects, I kind of went on a rant on one of the last meetings, architects and engineers,
Right.
7 or 8, we had an initial contractor look at it 1.975 years ago. And then we've had a contractor, the design where we're currently at before these changes, we sent one contractor look at it, get a rough work magnitude. I hired him, it's from Q. I have 3 other contractors that once we finish the design, because we didn't want to go any further, it's just plans, but getting consensus on. So now I can shoot this to additional contractors. We've had several contractors reach out here and have heard about this project and interested.
I guess my concern is with the design, we're not gonna get anywhere close to what was approved in the budget. So we've designed something that there's no way we can get down to 2.2 million. So it was 2.2, which was design and construction. That's in the report. So it's just, my concern is, it's a beautiful building. And it was designed in a way that doesn't meet the budget.
Councilman Allen.
I just have a comment along those lines. Looking at the capital improvement plan, the CIP plan that was included in our packet, this public works facility construction is listed under recommended projects. So I just want to note that we are now working on recommended projects and we still have a lot of required projects to complete. And I'm just wondering what framework would we use to determine our project sequencing between our required projects that we've approved and our recommended projects that we are pursuing here.
I don't know if that's a question, you want me to take it?
I will try to answer that. I think that's a good question. So, for those of you that may remember, the CIP list is broken up in several different categories. One of them is, one is recommended projects. One is committed projects. Like, for example, committed projects would be things that we've committed ourselves to contractually, such as the Litchfield Roundabout, right? That's something that we're committed to, required to build, right? Same thing with Sun Health Roundabout. Certainly, we're not contracted with anybody to build the public works building. Rather, it's something that we've been telling staff for the last several years that we would do, and we definitely need to do, considering the current facility needs. But I think that would be a difference there between recommended versus required. I don't think this one is required as far as agreements, but I do think it's something we should do. I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope that helps break up the difference in them.
I think it would help, and we can get into this like at another time.
Yes, ma'am.
But
I think we certainly can during the CIP budget meeting.
I think that's an important distinction to make when we're talking about our budget for this, because this is like a recommended project. We don't have any obligations at this point, and we are encountering some budget issues that you brought up. So I think that's something that should be considered in the grand scheme.
I would make thank you, Councilor Allen, to Councilor Frazier's point too. It is pretty, I'll say that. We could simplify it. We could make it simpler, we could make it cheaper, we could do that. But I don't think it will fit in the neighborhood, just my opinion. So I think that's an important discussion to have is how much do you want to blend in, how much are you willing to pay for that? For example, we know on the Agro Free project, we've been told that given it the Litchfield Park look, style, however you want to say it, 15%?
15.
It's a 15% cost increase. So that's something to be aware of. Normally in a city, as to Councilmember Claire's point, you would build a public workshop, would be a big steel building, you'd build out of the city somewhere, right? It wouldn't matter as much. Here it matters. It has that look, it's across the street from St. Peter's. So that is a point to be considered, is you have to pay for that look. Well, you don't have to, you get my point, right? But also again, for Councilmember Fraser's point, no matter what you do, the costs have went up. And certainly we will bring those back to you, and we'll bring them back to you, show you different ways. Here's what it would cost to build it this way, here's what it costs to do that way. But I think no matter what you do, it will cost you more than $2 million.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest that maybe right now, we need to understand whether or not we're okay with the design. So does the design, will this design of a building meet our approval of putting it where we're proposed to put it? When it comes to the question of whether we can afford to build it, we should get a lot more information to make sure we can afford to build it. Mr. Vice Mayor.
As part of this budgeting process, during the budgeting process, don't we take all the CIP projects and prioritize them?
We do, yeah.
And so, I mean, we're gonna be talking about this building, I presume, when we start trying to go through that list. Trying to figure out what's at the top, what's at the middle, what's at the bottom, and figure out where this is gonna fit when we see all of our wish list.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna have this design costed, so we'll have better costed. If it makes you feel any better at all, at one time this was a $5 million building. And I'm serious. We have been talking about it for probably 5 or 6 years. And it originally was a $5 or $6 million, it was a $5 million building. And that said, no, that we're not gonna do that. So the issue of budget has not gone away. It's just, now we have a design. Can we approve this design? This concept is fine. But now we gotta see if we can afford to build it.
Yeah, my problem is I like the design, but if we can't get the cost down, we're just gonna mothball the design. Because we can't afford to build it and we're not gonna build it for that price, so. I have a hard time having engineered plans sit on a shelf. I don't believe that's an effective way to do planning. I see them all the time, I deal with them all the time, and so my concern is that we are going to approve a design that then we will not approve to build because of the cost. And then we're back to the drawing board, so that's just my concern.
I would suggest that, that next question that we haven't really asked yet, and we won't ask until we get some better indications of what people are gonna bid on. But once we get a bid that is that appears to be somebody we might wanna work with, is we talk to them about what features about this facade is driving the cost up. The layout inside the building isn't gonna change that much. But are there things about this facade that is increasing the cost? What are they? And then as a council, we can decide, are we willing to put a building without this feature in this neighborhood to save this money? And we may decide, yeah, we want to save the money, or we may decide, no, and because we're putting it here, we need to have a building that we're going to spend a little more money.
When Keith goes out to talk to these contractors, he can ask them for items to value engineer.
Right.
And where they seeing it's a waste. The architects are notorious for specifying a certain product, but you can get almost the exact same thing for half the price, doing it some other way.
It does seem to be a bit of a misnomer. They say value engineering, they mean value planner. They mean
Yeah.
value design. It's not value engineering.
We have to change your title, value planner.
It's up to you.
You're the Walmart plan.
It's budget season, anything's possible, I guess.
But I mean, at this point, all we're doing is saying that the objections we had to the look of the building are fixed. So now we need to figure out what we actually build and what's it gonna cost. And make a decision on whether that's okay. Because the plan, whatever work's been done, is done, right? It's not like, if we say we don't like this design, you're gonna go back and re-engineer it. I don't know that we have.
We've got it.
What is it you're gonna change? That's this.
If we change anything significantly in the plan, you can't just strike through things. We have to go back after it. Almost reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Not that that's a huge cost, but the contractor that did do an estimate for us, they did provide some value engineering ideas along those lines.
I just don't think the plans are gonna sit on, we're not gonna take the plans and they're just gonna gather dust. If we're gonna build a building, we're gonna use these plans. If we have to make changes to it, then, we can decide what we're gonna do as we go forward. Any other questions or comments about these plans, this design? If not, is there a motion, what do we want trying to do here?
Mayor, we're hoping that
To approve the
council
final design?
will approve the final design, yes.
Approving the final design does not mean that we're accepting the price.
Correct.
So the design is
The contract would come back for approval. This is.
it's a broad concept, it's gonna be reviewed carefully for how much it's gonna cost to build. All right, is there a motion to that effect? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will work with this design and these plans, then we'll figure out how we're gonna fit it. Okay, next item is an executive session. We do need an executive session on item 9B. No, not A, I'm assuming, yes.
Item B, sir.
Been a pleasure, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you, Jarvis. Is there a motion to go into executive session under 9B?
So moved. Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're in executive session under 9B.